Thomas Take Sports Podcast. In case you don't know who I am Ryan Thomas, straight out of Buffalo, New York. One Buffalo, baby. We are coming at this 2017 hard in the paint with Sean McDermott. I'm interested to see how this pans out. You know, realistically, I don't have high expectations, but I'm interested to see how Sean McDermott, handles himself on the sideline. That'll be very interesting. Interested to see what Tyrod Taylor brings to the table as well. Being that we're playing a bunch of top 10, top 12 quarterbacks this season, Tyrod's got to show up in the passing game. And if he does not, could be Tyrod out, Nathan Peterman in, or Tyrod out, Cardell Jones in once again. So only time will tell. I wanted to start off the show by saying that. I want to add on to that by saying welcome to the Thomas Take. I'm Ryan Thomas. Part 2 of today's show, the Thomas Take Mailbag, is I'm going to answer questions from a guy that I respect. I respect his sports opinions. Guy that I think is very, very good at what he does in terms of hosting MyFantasySportsTalk.com's live podcast and their live draft show, which I was a part of on draft night, the first round, April 27th. We did a panel, so to speak, where I covered the Browns. I was a little bit late getting on the show. I had some technical difficulties, but I got on for the Browns, got on for the Bills, got on for the Steelers, and the Dolphins, and it was a great time. All the guys between Brandon, Dan, Orlando, David, Malichi David, I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to call him David. And then Dylan, there were a lot of wide variety of sports opinions being thrown around, and Brandon was the mediator for it and the host of it, and he kept things moving, and it was very well done. So Brandon, shout out to you. Thank you for the podcast questions, and I'm going to answer some of them. So I answered his first one about his love for boxing and how he does not feel the sport offers him much hope in comparison to the status of MMA today. I answered that in the previous part of the Thomas Take. You can tune into that on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube channel. You can also find it on the Thomas Takes Facebook, Thomas Take Sports Podcast Facebook page, I should say. Click subscribe on the YouTube and click like on the page, and you'll get constant access to the Thomas Take. So thank you guys. I'd really appreciate it. So want to start off by saying I have a guy that I know. This is a fantasy football info, fantasy football tip. I gave you guys a fantasy football tip in the previous episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, telling you all to stay away from Marshawn Lynch, Adrian Peterson, and Jamal Charles. 3 veteran running backs, 3 old faces in new places that I would stay away from on draft day, that I will stay away from on draft day. Do not like the fits for those 3 running backs. I would say Marshawn Lynch is somewhat of an exception, but Marshawn Lynch took a year off. I don't know where he will be. I don't know if this is a spur-of-the-moment thing. Will he be in as good a shape as he was when he was in Seattle? Only time will tell. I'm not going to invest a high pick in my running back 2 in Marshawn Lynch. In my case, my keeper league, Ezekiel Elliott is my keeper running back. So I'm using my first-round pick on keeping him. But let's just say things are wide open. It's not a keeper league. And you have the first overall selection. You did a random draw. You got the first pick. So before anyone picks their player, you are the guy that's going to set the tone, or gal that'll set the tone. I know a lot of chicks that play fantasy football, which is awesome. So first overall, you're on the clock. Who should you take? Last year, the consensus was take Antonio Brown, take Julio Jones, take Odell Beckham, one of the receivers. But I am here to tell you that you need to take a running back. And no, Brandon, that running back is not Ezekiel Elliott. That running back is Arizona Cardinals running back David Johnson. I'm going to speak from personal experience here and say that David Johnson is the guy that I would take first overall, because David Johnson was the multi-purpose running back of 2016 in the 2016 fantasy football season. Ran the ball very well, catched the ball very well, runs very nice routes for a running back, and has yak ability. I was up 38 points. This was week mid-season, maybe week 5. I was up 37 points on a good friend of mine, Scott Brown. Shout out to Scott Brown, big Sabres fan, big Bills fan. He had only David Johnson left, and I was up by 37 points. He had a 1% chance, according to Yahoo, of winning that matchup. And guess what? He won it because of David Johnson. He had one guy left, and David Johnson got him 38.75 points. So I'm going to take that guy. I'm sorry, but I'm going to take that guy. I know Ezekiel Elliott is the money man. He's the guy that is the sexy name. He's on the big team with the star on their helmet. He's got the offensive line in front of him. I know all that. But David Johnson, I can't ignore David Johnson anymore. If I'm in an open league and I draw the first pick, that's my pick. That's who I'm going to take. You look at the teams in his division, not the most formidable outside of Seattle, and Seattle's defense has kind of gone down a little bit. San Francisco, they made some moves. They got Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster in the 2017 draft. But the Los Angeles Rams, I'm not too keen on this year. So I like David Johnson's schedule as well. I like the fact that his division is not that strong. And if I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott doesn't catch passes that much out of the backfield in comparison to the way David Johnson is used. Virtually should have been the MVP last year, to be honest, or should have been, Offensive Player of the Year or something. But he has just flown completely under the radar. And I want to look at his stat sheet real quick while I got the chance here. I'm going to look this up, so bear with me. David Johnson. I mean, how is this guy completely swept under the radar? A guy that wasn't even picked in the first or second round. Third-round pick out of Northern Iowa. I knew when I watched his draft tape during the highlights that they showed when he was in the draft, it's like, damn, this guy's good. He had 1,239 rushing yards on 293 carries, averaged 4.2 yards a carry, 16 touchdowns. Do you want to know what he had receiving? 80 catches, 879 yards, and 4 touchdowns. In a PPR league, David Johnson is it. This is a fairly easy decision for me if I'm picking with the first overall pick. This is a fairly easy decision. So I'm going to go with David Johnson for that first pick. More on that as well. I definitely think that's a guy that I would take. I'm excited to read the next question. Tony Romo, Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame of really good? Now, I definitely know what my answer to this question is going to be. Tony Romo, in terms of his numbers, best quarterback to play for the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas Cowboys history. Franchise records, he owns them all, with the exception of a couple, I'm pretty sure. But how many playoff games did he win? And if you're talking about Hall of Fame, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, Buffalo's favorite son, Jim Kelly, does not nearly have the numbers that Tony Romo has. Different era, but he doesn't have those numbers. And he went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, where is the silver lining? Where is it in Tony Romo's resume that screams Hall of Famer? And if he's the franchise leading in stats, in statistical categories, why did he only win 2 playoff games? I don't even know how many playoff. I'm pretty sure he won 1 playoff game. I think it was 2 in his career. And I think right now he is being talked about as a Hall of Famer because of the way he went out. He went out in a very classy way. But this guy's not among the greatest to ever play the game. I wouldn't say he's a GOAT or anything. I'd say he was a very good quarterback. I'd say he was a key contributor to the Dallas Cowboys for over a decade. But I wouldn't say Hall of Famer. I mean, that really puts things in perspective. If they say Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, maybe then Tony Romo should be in the Hall of Fame because they practically had the same career as far as getting to the playoffs, not really doing a whole lot, having some bad seasons, having some good seasons. But in the end, he was beat out by Dak Prescott. I mean, essentially, he got hurt once again, and Dak Prescott took his job. So, I mean, that was at the end of his career. He did some nice things in his prime, but I can't say that he is a surefire Hall of Famer. Does anyone think that anyone wants to hear Jay Cutler's commentary? He alienated his teammates, coaches, and fans his whole career. I've never seen him laugh one time in 15 years. What was Fox thinking? I'm on the same boat with both Tony Romo and Jay Cutler. I don't understand for the life of me why Tony Romo took Phil Simms' seat without even having a day on the job. Tony Romo is not Tim Tebow, and I'm talking about media personality. When did anyone laugh at anything Tony Romo had to say? He was a very corny personality and a cookie cutter guy. I mean, bland. I don't know what he's going to bring to the broadcast booth that has any sort of flavor or moxie alongside Jim Nantz. I'm not seeing it. I would see Tim Tebow in that role being a better, player analyst than Tony Romo. Tony Romo might have definitely had more of a successful career in the NFL than Tim Tebow, but as far as personality, Tony Romo, Jay Cutler, what? I'm just not seeing where Jay Cutler could be a reporter, could be taken seriously. I'm not seeing where Tony Romo could be taken seriously. To go from the Dallas Cowboys NFL starting quarterback to getting beat out by Dak Prescott to retiring and getting the top of the bill, anchor, color commentator gig with Jim Nantz, who's been in the game for over 3 decades. That's ridiculous. They paid him a lot of money to take that gig. I'm sure Jay Cutler got a lot of money as well. So that is just mind-blowing. I can't believe that those two guys got jobs commentating at the highest level. Very, very mind-blowing. And I think that people need to slow their roll on saying that Tony Romo was the almighty Messiah. I mean, come on. That's a joke. He wasn't terrible, but he never won anything. He never was even in an NFC championship game. Like Donovan McNabb. If Tony Romo is a Hall of Famer, why is Donovan McNabb not a Hall of Famer? I mean, if you're talking about what they've done in their careers, McNabb went to 5 NFC championship games. Romo didn't go to any. So Jay Cutler went to an NFC championship game and Tony Romo didn't. I mean, come on. Let's get to reality here. I think Tony Romo's being talked about in this positive light because he retired on classy terms, but that doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. Kurt Warner barely got into the Hall of Fame, and Kurt Warner is responsible for leading one of the best offenses of all time. Realistically, 2 plays away from having not 1 Super Bowl ring, but 3 Super Bowl rings. 2 plays, a kick by Vinatieri and a catch by Santonio Holmes. He would have had 3 Super Bowls, and instead he's got 1. And he's in the Hall of Fame. Barely. I mean, ridiculous. There's been players along the way like Kenny Stabler who were literally epitomized what the NFL was at that point and what the Oakland Raiders were at that point. And he gets in after his death. That was messed up. He should have been in before that. He should have been in long before that. Stabler has better numbers than Joe Namath. And Joe Namath gets in right away. Joe Namath is Broadway Joe. Joe Namath is, the personality. Kenny Stabler was a personality. Why did it take so long? His whole life he had to wait to get in. The Hall of Fame process is very flawed. T.O. should be in. My opinion on that is well known as well. But Tony Romo, no. Get to the back of the line. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas. Take care.